last speaker needs no introduction, but I'm going to, I guess I have to introduce him. How do you introduce somebody like Mohnish to me? And I guess I'll tell the story that I've told many times. Before the Buffett lunch, which is appropriate to hear, I'd never really met Mohnish. And so I was flying to Australia, and I specifically stopped off in Los Angeles so I could meet this guy that I just agreed to have lunch with Warren Buffett with, and we're sending all this money to the Glide Foundation. And I didn't realize at the time that the real benefit for me was learning from Mohnish, not learning from Warren. I learned an enormous amount from Warren, but I would say that the move to Zurich, the way I run my business, has everything to do with what I learned from Mohnish, to the degree that I used to send people that I work with to visit his office in Irvine to understand how he did it. And I started this session with these stories of, so I told them, you weren't here, Mohnish, but I told them the story of me telling Warren the Talmudic story of the scholars who had hid under the bed of the rabbi, and Warren saying, well, I'll make sure I look under my bed this evening. But I did that with Mohnish as well, and I learned an enormous amount. And in a way, that's part of what I feel in common with Monsoon, is that we've both studied her dad, so I feel like a kind of a brother to Monsoon when we hang out together. But Mohnish, thank you for coming, and looking forward to hearing from you.
All right. Thank you. Well, great to be here, and this Value X and this gathering is a very selfless act by Guy, one of many selfless acts he does. So, great round of applause for Guy. Thank you. And this year, when he couldn't accommodate everyone who wanted to come because the price was right, he opened it up to the planet with the streaming it and such. So that's just awesome. And also, I'm really excited to be in Omaha this year, even though we have the empty chair. And I learned that the bookworm and maybe you guys have already been there, but I heard there's just one book they're selling this year. Don't know if that's true or not, but that's really awesome. And the second, that basically they're going to stream the movie for the first time, and they've never done that before because they got all these copyright issues and such. So I think the movie will probably be all Charlie. And I think anyone who got the chance to put together the 30 minutes of Charlie Zingers is a very blessed person. That'll be a lot of fun, but I think also bring some Kleenex. So I think it'll be a wonderful day tomorrow. Looking forward to it. And I had a very, I would say, accidental, unexpected friendship with Charlie. Went on for 15 years. And I get asked a lot, kind of, what I learned from Charlie. And I think both with Charlie and Warren, so much is in the public domain that we don't need to know them to have a lot of learnings and lessons from them. And what I got the most from Charlie in the different interactions was not anything he said. I mean, he said a lot of amazing things, but it was just observing him. And I think just observing him, the way he interacted with his kids, his grandkids, great-grandkids, in-laws, friends, business associates, and so on, and just observing how he interacted with everyone was where I got a huge amount of learning. I mean, just to give you some couple of stories on that front is that when I'd go to his place for dinner, his daughter-in-law had told me that Charlie really loves peanut brittle. We've seen his love for peanut brittle when he's on stage. And she says, but we restrict it to twice a month, that he's only allowed to have peanut brittle twice a month. And we basically pick 2 dinners a month when the peanut brittle comes out. So I told her, listen, whenever I'm coming, please make sure that's one of those two, so that there's an association tendency, and the friendship with Charlie gets kind of, deeply entrenched. So a lot of times when I used to go, there would be the peanut brittle for dessert. And the thing is that if you ask Warren, what do you like to eat, etc., he'll just tell you, I eat only what I used to eat when I was 6 years old. And there's been no change in my eating habits. And I think one time he met Akio Morita, the founder of Sony in New York, and there was a sushi dinner. And I think Warren was just horrified. So he went completely hungry and must have gone to like McDonald's after that or something to get things back in sync. But when we had the lunch with Buffett in 2008, someone put a shrimp on his plate. Someone ordered a shrimp cocktail and put a shrimp on his plate, and he was just horrified. And someone had to come and like take that shrimp away because he didn't know what to do with it. So Warren is very specific about what he will and will not eat, etc. Charlie, what I found is, eats anything. And basically, I never in the 15 years ever, so dinner would just show up or lunch would show up, and whatever was in front of him, he just ate it. He never asked for something or whatever, just very content with whatever was given to him. And of course, on the nights when peanut brittle was on the menu, and finally when the peanut brittle came out, it was like devoured in 2 minutes. It was all gone, right? And I never heard him ask for more. I never heard him complain or say, hey, I want some more, or let's make the 2 nights, 4 nights or something. He just accepted. I mean, that was the thing about Charlie, is that everything about whatever was happening, he just accepted. And the last time I met him, which I didn't know was going to be the last time I was meeting him, was exactly a month before he passed away. We had I had in 15 years in friendship with him, never been the one to initiate a dinner or a meeting. It was always him. It was always, because I really never wanted to, overstep my welcome. So I've never really asked Charlie to meet him or whatever. But in September, for the first time, actually, I reached out and requested a dinner with him. And of course, he was very, very willing and such. And so I met him, I think, October 28th. And it was just me and him. It was just me, him, and Oscar, who works for him. And we had a wonderful dinner. And he was complaining that he was saying, Mohnish, there's a lot wrong with me. There's a lot of things going on. And he would always say that any day that I wake up where there's not any new pain is a good day. And but even like the month before he passed away, almost blind, I had sent him stuff to read after that meeting. And Dorothy was here. I don't know if she's still here, but Dorothy was the one who was arranging everything. I think you guys heard from her today. So she kind of slapped me on the wrist and said, please don't send anything to Mr. Munger which is less than 24 point in size, because he cannot read anything less than 24 point. Charlie was almost blind at that point. And so she said, I took your 30 pages and I converted it into 24 point. I don't know how many pages that became. But I think that I actually feel very happy about the fact that some of the last things Charlie read was what I sent him, which is great. But the thing is that take life as it comes, never really complain. He has the 8 kids, so many grandkids, so many in-laws, and there's a very wide range of personalities. And sometimes I would meet some of these folks and, kind of say, oh, wow, okay, this is someone quite different. And I'd bring this up to Charlie. And before I would even finish the sentence, he says, yeah, I know, it's okay. You know, and so, I mean, I'm just saying Charlie was able to navigate all of that, great relationships with all the kids. Once a week, he had a scheduled Zoom call with the grandkids. And so all these grandkids, I think more than 20 of them, whatever, they knew that this was the date and time for the Zoom call with Grandpa Charlie. And they all would try to make it, to the Zoom call and all of that. So I felt like I had really kind of exceptional parents, really kind of lucked out, I think, way above average, especially an exceptional mom. And my mom passed away a few years back. It's been about a little over 4 years. And I really felt when she passed away that I wasted a lot of moments where I could have been with her or could have done different things with her or could have talked about different things with her. And I had a lot of thoughts going through my head about who she was and all of that. And those same kind of thoughts came to me when Charlie passed away. I just felt like, I wish I had asked Charlie. I know he would have said yes. I wish I'd asked Charlie if I could have come to Minnesota with him when he went fishing. And even though I've never fished before, it'd just be good to hang out with him when he was fishing. And I know he would have said yes to that. And that would have been a wonderful experience. One of the interesting things about all his kids is their strongest memories of him when they were kids is in Minnesota. And it's not in LA where he spent 11 out of the 12 months. It was in Minnesota. Even though Charlie was home most nights for dinner, I think they just felt that when he was in Minnesota, he was completely with them, and such. So anyway, we were very blessed to have someone like him touch our lives. And I think it'll be wonderful tomorrow. I think I'm looking forward to tomorrow quite a bit. And they broke the mold. We're not going to see another Charlie ever again. And so I'm grateful to share that with you. Thank you.
I find myself wanting to share, and I think it's a Jewish idea that when you have a great teacher, they become like your parents. So you talk about Charlie like you would talk about perhaps your father, and you've also talked about your father and your grandfather, but in a way, Charlie is a parent to us all if he's been a teacher. But we're going to take 4 or 5 questions. If you want to do a question, get it behind the mic, and then we'll close the session. But go ahead.
Hi, my name is Raj. I'm a software engineer at Amazon in Seattle. I'm a big fan of your YouTube videos and Dakshina. I think a lot of us spend time reading books, public company filings, blogs, FinTwit, etc., watching podcasts and stuff. One of the things that I struggle with the most is aggregating that information for quick access. So did you or Charlie have any tricks for saving the research that you've done so that you could actually use it in the future?
I think that's a great question. I have never seen, I've never interacted or even heard of any human who was like Charlie. And we've all of us have seen that in action at the Berkshire meetings, is that, Charlie talks about the lattice work of mental models. And I think he just spent a lifetime. The real, I would say, payback of that, what Charlie did was he was able to recall 2 things. He was able to recall which models applied very quickly, and he was also able to synthesize very quickly what the interactions would lead to. So sometimes there are like 3 or 4 models that are acting at the same time, and they lead to a certain outcome. And that type of instantaneous recall from a encyclopedic kind of database, and then knowing how they would interact and play with each other, I don't know anyone who can do that. I cannot do that, and I have not come across anyone else. So Charlie was just, I mean, you know, this was a person with highest horsepower brain I ever encountered, but it was the highest horsepower brain with a huge amount of data thrown into it, you know, over 80 plus years that he'd been reading. And then the filing system that was in that brain, I don't even know how that filing system worked, but it was able to, you know, pick out things. So I know I saw it in action repeatedly. I would bring up things that I had fork in the road issues with Dakshana. He'd never been to India. He'd never really kind of, you know, seen Dakshana or anything. While I'm mumbling and fumbling the question, he's already answered it. You know, whereas I'd been struggling with the same thing for like several weeks. And so I don't know how he did it, but he did it, you know, so.
Thank you.
So we'll move to the second mic, so we'll alternate. Porque hay un mexicano allá. Bienvenido.
Gracias, gracias, Guy. Thank you, Mohnish. You both for creating this space for me, and I guess for some of the guys that are here. Like by your friendship, this space wouldn't exist, and thinking like this little difference, how they compound in time, and they create wonders. So thank you. Sorry, Mohnish, for missing your size last year with the green jacket.
It still works well. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll try to improve my measurements. When you were talking, I felt you have been very vulnerable, sharing how sometimes you have felt like playing cards with Bill and with Buffett and Bridge and Warren. Sorry, I should have more respect. And when you were Bridge with in the country club with Charlie, how sometimes you feel, wow, how am I here, right? Like, and I just felt like, wow, how am I here, and how the impostor syndrome, if you can makes you go away from these patterns of the people with this great brain power and integrity and perhaps and love. What advice would you give us so when we start like, oh my God, this is too much to handle? How did you keep yourself on balance there to share the space with these people you want to learn from without not stop being yourself at the same time? Like if you have a trick or two, will be nice. Sorry for the long question.
You want to go ahead?
Oh, me? He wants you.
Well, I would just say that.
I can warm you up, Mohnish.
Pardon?
I can warm you up. It's okay. I walk around with imposter syndrome every day, and if you don't have imposter syndrome, you probably haven't done any. You will get it eventually when you keep going, and I think that everybody that I've met who's in any way successful just learns to live with that. But that maybe has given you some time to think about.
Yeah, I mean, I think that. I think we are all blessed to have access to the learnings of people like Warren and Charlie. And so I think when you do that, then you just focus on putting one foot in front of the other, you know. And like Charlie says, you soldier on. And so keep it simple, keep it real, and keep learning. And we have great teachers who are giving all of that to us for free. So life is great.
Gracias. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you for the question. And we have, so 3 more questions will be, so don't get up if you haven't already gone up. Go ahead.
Hello. So the comment that you made about Charlie's declining health and how he reflected to you new pains every day, and also your 15-year relationship with him made me think about, you know, the enjoyment that comes in life and how there's a negative sloping curve, you know, that came from his degrading health over time, but that his intellect remained strong until the very end. So it was a horizontal, if not positive, curve from the compounding of learning that came from it. And I'm wondering, with your 15-year insight, if you have a sense on whether at, you know, some point the curve, the negative sloping curve, that the positive sloping intellect was not sufficient enough to compensate for the negative slope and the increased pains that he had in his overall enjoyment of life.
In fact, that was one of the greatest learnings, is in all of those years, I never heard Charlie complain. I would have to ask him, like, how are you feeling? And, how's this going and that going and whatever else. And then he would just give me the facts. But basically, he till the end, even like right till the last month when I met him, he had no negativity, and he didn't let it affect him. He didn't let any of these things affect him. I mean, if you think about it, Charlie had a lot of setbacks in life. I think it was a huge setback when Nancy passed away, and the way she passed away. She fell backwards down the stairs, and 2 years of a lot of surgeries, a lot of pain, and moved on. He just moved on from there, and he said to me that he was really concerned when he was no longer able to go to the office. His concern was that he would lose. It was really, I found it really stupid, actually. Charlie's very smart, but this was a really stupid comment he was making. He says to me that I was really concerned that I wouldn't be able to interact with the people I want to interact with. And I just felt how stupid. Who would not come here to your home to interact with you? Like, hello, And so he said, I was really surprised that I never went to the office and all these people showed up. And I said, oh yeah, right, of course they're going to show up. They're all going to show up. And why did you even have a doubt about that, right? But it was a concern for him that he was getting out of his one routine and that he would get isolated. And I was just surprised a person like him would even have entertained a thought like that. But that was some of the greatest learnings, is I saw how he dealt with, a few years back, so Charlie already had lost sight in one eye, a botched cataract operation many, many decades ago. But maybe this was around 10 years ago, where the second eye had some crazy infection in the optic nerve. And there was a decent to maybe even more than 50% probability that he was going to go completely blind. And I actually saw him when it was unclear to him whether he would ever be able to see again. And this is a guy who only cares about reading. He really doesn't care about anything else. Reading is the only thing that matters to him. So here's kind of fate ready to take the one thing that matters to him. And he was completely stoic. He just said, I'm going to have to learn Braille. That was the way he dealt with it. He said, I'm going to have to learn Braille. So it's like all these adversities, all these different things coming at him, whatever his health issues were, friends passing away. One time he says to me, Mohnish, 99% of my friends are dead. And I said, yeah, but you have new ones, like the Indian guy, so it's okay, So yeah, but he was just great, and he was really great at making new friends. I think he was really good at that. And one time I think Charlie always had so many jokes. Can I give him a Charlie joke?
Before we get to the joke, I just feel like we have somebody, you weren't here, but Sheena is blind. And I just wanted to know, Sheena, you're hearing these comments about Charlie losing eyesight in one eye. I don't think it's fair to go there without allowing you comment if you'd like to. Only if you'd like to. I just think none of us are natives to that territory. I think you need to give a voice to the person who is a native to that territory. So Sheena's a professor with a Sikh background, actually.
Yeah, hold on one second.
So she's blind. She gave it.
I was born with retinitis pigmentosa, so I don't actually have the experience of ever having 20/20 vision. In my experience, it's usually harder for people who lose vision later, even though it objectively should be easier for them because they actually know what the world looks like and they actually have more information. But I think they actually have a harder time dealing with it and learning the new skills. Whereas I've never really ran that counterfactual, so I don't really sit around thinking, oh, I wish I was sighted.
Thank you. Now you get to tell your joke.
So Charlie was always like, you know, a lot of jokes. You know, I always forget jokes, but he never forgot jokes. He had like the joke for every occasion. And so one time he was talking about George Burns just smoking this cigar, you know, one cigar after another. And George's friend says, you know, what does your doctor think about your cigar smoking? He said, I don't know, my doctor's dead. You know?
So last two questions. Let's go with the penultimate question.
Yeah, I was just wondering, and because the meeting this year is obviously a lot about remembering Charlie, if the both of you could maybe share your favorite memory of him and the time that you had with him, as you were quite close, especially Mohnish.
Mohnish, if I can warm you up to
Yeah.
this. So it's the Buffett brunch on the Sunday morning. Gillian is there, and Rosie's there, and Mohnish is determined that this is the time he's going to get me to meet Charlie Munger. And he was extremely generous. He made me sit down in front of Charlie, and Charlie interacted with me for a couple of minutes. Mohnish tells Charlie, he says, you know, Charlie, this is the guy I talked to about stocks. Well, ever since we had a bust-up over coal, I don't know how much we talk about stocks these days. That's a whole other story. But I mean, my experience of Charlie is very, very different to Mohnish's. Charlie glommed onto Mohnish. He wanted to get to know him. And for me, I was sitting looking at Charlie. It was like he was looking straight through me. So there's my Charlie story. But now you can go with your Charlie
Yeah, but
story.
you got to finish what he said to you. Remember, he talked about talking about.
So I say to Charlie, this is my memory of it. I say to Charlie, you know, I don't think it really, really matters what I say. He could be talking to, I think it goes like this, he could be talking to a stuffed doll. And I think Charlie says, that's absolutely right, you could be a stuffed doll. Did I get that right?
No, you.
Did I
So
screw that up?
let me
That's my
let me
memory.
try to recover. Okay, so a guy tells Charlie, you know, I could be a monkey. You know, Mohnish talks to me, and I could be a monkey. He said, no, that wouldn't work, because Mohnish would know you're a monkey then. You know, so. You know, I remember Charlie told me it's very important to have somebody to talk to about your investments, right? And that's why I told Charlie, this is the guy I talked to about my investments. And when he had told me that, I said, oh, so you mean like Warren Buffett? And so he said, no, not like Warren Buffett. There were times, and plenty of times in the past, when it wasn't Warren Buffett, but I think that the actual act of talking to someone about your investments and explaining it in a few sentences is really helpful in yourself understanding the different nuances, etc. One of the most intimidating moments, I would say, of being with Charlie, the intimidation, I think for the most part, stayed with me almost till the end. But the first time I met him, when Warren had set my wife up and me to meet him for lunch. We met him at the California Club. And so Charlie comes to that lunch, and then he reaches into his coat pocket and he pulls out this printout from Guru Focus. You know, he's never been on a computer, so Dorothy must have printed that out for him. And it has my entire portfolio, you know, and he's looking at one stock after another, and then he's looking at one stock and saying, you know, and I felt I'm like, you know, I am so low. I am the lower than the lowest low life. And so he's looking at some, and some he's just like shaking his head. And then he gets to Sears Holdings. And he says, Sears. He just again shakes his head. Okay. And I looked at the clock, you know, it was past 1 o'clock in California, so I couldn't do anything, right? But before the market opened the next day, you know, I put my sell orders for Sears, you know, and so that was quite an intimidating moment, but that was Charlie, you know, so that was great. So
one piece of wisdom that I learned, actually, it's a Charlie wisdom that I learned through you, Mohnish, was this idea that Charlie has a very gruff and brash exterior. He has to be, because he's a very generous guy. So he has a lot of people coming at him. but that you described to me that once he took you into his inner circle, there's this extraordinary love and generosity that came out.
Both Warren and Charlie, and I think more Warren than Charlie, have had to build this shield around themselves, mainly because so many people come at them with so many things. But when you get past that shield, in both cases, and especially as I would say in Charlie's case, is just a beautiful heart. It's a wonderful human being and a beautiful heart. And when you get past that, it's truly amazing. And I had not expected that, and it was just remarkable to see that.
Last question. Thank you so much for waiting all this time.
Thanks, Guy. Good afternoon. My name is Didier Yesen, and I run an investment partnership, and I'm based in London. My question for Mohnish is a bit more personal. You've done a lot in terms of philanthropy and education in India, supporting students. First, I wanted to ask, with all the years you've spent supporting students there, what has been, I guess, the key learning points for you, and how has it impacted your life? And secondly, when you look to the next phase of life for yourself, or 20, 30 years, what are the 2-3 key things you would love to achieve that you haven't already?
Okay. Well, I think one of the big differences between investing and philanthropy, or capital allocation and charity, is that we try to go low risk, high return on investing. And I learned from Warren that in charity, you have to go high risk, high return. And so it takes it's a big mindset shift, because you're always trying to make sure you protect the downside in investing, to actually be willing to go all in and roll the dice. And so it's really important when you're trying to do things on the philanthropic side, that you go high risk, high return, and that you're not concerned about failure. And so the reason is that on the investing side, we get to choose what we want to invest in, and we choose the stuff that is the easiest. And on the charity side or philanthropic side, it's like, healthcare, poverty, education, environment. All of these are very tough problems. And there's been, billions, trillions, very smart brain power expended against them. So the only way you're really going to kind of move the needle in any way is to go at it with a sledgehammer and with the approach which says that I'm willing to lose everything I put in. So if you look at the Gates Foundation, for example, putting all their money in vaccines, right? I mean, if you look at it from the beginning of their endeavors on that front till today, not much has come out of it. But it's the right thing to do, because if they get some breakthrough, it takes care of everything, and it has such a huge outcome change. And so at Dakshina, we always try to think about that. We try to think about, so we are excited to fail. In fact, if we don't fail, then we're not doing enough. So I'm always trying to do some experiments where we know that it doesn't look like it'll work. Even our model that currently works, I didn't expect it to work. I expected to fail, actually. It was just a surprise that it actually worked. And so I think that's the big thing, is that you have to be willing to go all in. So very few endeavors, ideally one, and all in on the one that you think can move the needle the most, regardless of the odds.
Everyone, it's been a great day. I've been so privileged to have you. Thank you, Mohnish.